Alright, my darlings? So how are the animals going to deal with the rats in this half of the series, and will they actually take my advice for a change? Well, let's find out and get into the 8th episode of Series 3. We start off with a discussion about impending doom.
What's this about you having feelings of impending doom? Oh, I do. I have these feelings. Impending doom.
What is impending?
Are our favourite couple of the park, Ada and Sinuous, who are planning an attack on the rats.
I'll be in charge.
Couldn't I be in charge?
If you want.
Perhaps we'd better have a vote.
All right. I vote for me.
I vote for me. We need someone else to vote to make it 2-1.
Let them fumble about outside and stay calm. This is simply the beginning.
So we indulge in this quite ridiculous comic set piece where the snakes take the conspiracy theory rat to try and get themselves another vote.
We're asking you, who should lead the attack? Me or her?
Her?
Rats.
We'll have another little chat soon, when you've had time to decide where your loyalties lie.
Despite the stupidity, asking the enemy for advice works since the rat tells the two about the secret entrance into Bully's nest, of which they skulk into for a little surprise attack.
Another attack, oh great one!
What? Foxes? Badgers? Frogs?
Snakes!
I ain't said anything that isn't a rat, but snakes!
Why did it have to be snakes?
So Alan Rickman and Helena Bonham Carter here drop into Bully's nest, which is full of rubbish that he uses as furniture and leisure items, of course, but he manages to slip away, and cornered by a whole swarm of the furballs, they decide to retreat.
There must be a zillion of them.
I'm gonna cut your heart out with a spoon!
Well, a shame that attack was a bit of a bust, but still, a secret entrance into the very nest of the area where the enemy sleeps. That's invaluable information. What are you going to do with that, guys?
We attack the rat headquarters almost every night. Ada and Sinuous nearly killed the chief rat this morning. They're going to attack him again this afternoon.
Yes! Finally! The old fox is back, using something to your advantage. Oh, and look! Here comes Whistler.
Well done, Whistler!
What are you going to do with me?
I'm going to drop you from a great height.
You weren't.
Frog's legs. Delicious.
Well, they're both dead. Oh no, wait, we're still running on Looney Tunes logic, so all they've got is a mild headache yet again. I would complain about a sense of deja vu, but to be quite honest, I would welcome that in this case. Anything that resembles the last two series is sorely needed here. After making that rat reach terminal velocity, Whistler flies off to the second animal sanctuary to tell Plucky that they really need him back. But unfortunately, he says that
I've tried to escape, but the walls are too high. My only chance is when the gates are open for the humans to pass through.
What an incredible coincidence.
So Plucky manages his prison escape 3 episodes after he'd been put in there in the first place. See, Dominic Purcell? That's how it's done. But unfortunately the truck goes in the wrong direction to White Deer Park, but thankfully the truck stops and Plucky jumps out to run back to his home. But why did the truck stop in the first place? Bar-ram-you! Bar-ram-you! So Plucky makes it back, but unfortunately the first face he sees isn't the best one of them all.
Greetings, friend. Have you seen my mole?
He's asleep on your head.
Oh, what a relief. I've been looking for him all morning.
Actually, to be honest, I'm kind of getting used to Hercule at this point. He's not that bad. In fact, his kindness is actually kind of contagious in a way.
Don't go sympathising with the enemy, George! He's the worst character in this series, and you know it!
Hey, what I've gone through in going over the Weasel subplot to write the scripts for this series, I'll take Hercule any day over that.
You're dead to me!
Charming. Anyway, we have a very sweet reunion between Plucky and Dash, which also spawned 1,000 Dash cross Plucky fanfictions. No, I'm not even joking about that one. Some of my fans have actually sent me a few of them, and I've read them all. Some of them are sweet, some of them are touching, some of them are terrifying, but they all exist either way. So the Orange Knight is back in Gotham City, I mean White Deer Park, and goes off to save Ada, who is being tortured and killed by the rats because she killed a bunch of their babies. Off screen, of course, all the best bits of this series happen off screen. Though speaking of which, where are all the female rats? If they are reproducing in numbers this quickly, shouldn't there be some females around here? All I've seen are male ones. Unless they're like those kind of mythical rat kings that... No, not that one. That reproduce by splitting off from each other like amoebas. Because if that is the case, then the animals in White Deer Park are even more screwed than I thought they were. But since this is one of the few genuine awesome bits in Series 3, I'll just let you watch it. Kick ass.
Did I miss anything?
Now I have a machine gun. Ho, ho, ho.
That brings us into the next episode where Fox has yet again called another meeting and come up with a supposed plan.
Fox has a plan.
About time.
That's right, a plan.
A plan that can't fail.
I keep telling you, don't say that! It means disaster every time you do!
But we shall take all the rats that we kill and drop them in front of the warden's cottage. When he finds them in the morning, he'll realise that there's a rat problem in the park. He'll do something about it.
Good idea! I came up with it 2 episodes ago. If I can come up with better solutions before you can, Fox, you're really getting old.
Fox? Can I be in charge of the operation? Well, I was thinking of Ranger.
Yeah, well, I...
Go on, I'm cleverer than him.
I hope you like that bit of Friendly being a neurotic suck-up as always, because he'll not be seen again for ages. In fact, how many episodes has it been since we last saw him? What are you even doing here, man? Just go off, find a mate, have fun, just party, be a young, adventurous buck. I know Bold tried it and it didn't really work out for him, but surely you could do it better than he could. We then cut over to... Oh,
I do enjoy my bath times.
Should I come back later, Bully?
Order! Oh, that's better.
That's just wrong. I need a wash now. Of course, since Spike is still on both sides of the conflict, he naturally relays the plan to Bully, and so now, despite the fact the Foxes have actually put together a plan that might work for a change, Scarface in a good way, Scarface was never really much of a schemer. He was always more about tooth and claw, whereas Bully is legitimately smart and cunning and able to plan ahead. Hell, even when Scarface did know something was going to happen and planned ahead for it, it never worked out for him. So while Bully may not be as intimidating of a villain as Scarface, he makes up for it with his cunning. Though for the love of God, in order to prolong that vision of him, please don't show me that bath scene again.
Order!
God damn it, Luke! Also, guess who shows up right after that?
Oh, don't be frightened. I love foxes.
Why does this keep happening to me? Okay, to be fair, Rollo only shows up for a brief moment, and why he's there will be explained in the Weasel subplot. And there is a nice exchange between him and Plucky about Bold.
Do you think the warden will do something about these rats he's just found? The ones that are still alive. The park is full of them.
But he doesn't know that, does he?
No, that's right. I suppose he doesn't.
Perhaps if there was a trail of dead rats leading to the park.
Yes, excellent.
I remember now. I did try to kill some rats once when I lived in the town. It was a fox who showed me how. I was useless, of course, but Bold didn't scold me.
Bold? Bold was my father. He died before I was born.
Oh, Bold's pup. Oh.
How very Shakespearean. A young prince is met with the friend of his late father and is inspired by his words. Though I don't think any character in a Shakespeare play ever constantly went Bully is also having some PTSD problems after Ada and Sinuous invaded his home in the previous episode, so he charges a scout party of his biggest rats to look out for them and take them down.
There's one missing. The big town rat. He just arrived yesterday. Anyone seen him?
It's as big as a dog.
With my dog.
Seriously though, look at that guy, he's huge! Does he eat the rubbish thrown out by the steroid lab or something? Or is he photoshopped to look more scary like that stupid spider with wings thing? Again, this is one of the few things in the series that feels dark and dire as the events of the last series, and it does actually lead to one of the saddest moments in the series. But let's not jump the gun here. Unless you watched mine and Luke's video, in which case you know exactly what happens. Plug plug. Meanwhile, the foxes have laid out a Scooby-Doo-like breadcrumb trail of rats leading back to the nest, hoping that the warden will see it and find out about the rats. Of which he does, and then he... Jesus Christ, man! Do you not think rat poison will be more effective? Unless they've got Remy on their side. Somehow though it doesn't manage to kill any of them, despite Bully literally staring down the gun barrel at one point. The warden just sods off to presumably point the shotgun at his own face whilst greeting a Jack Russell Terrier. The animals rejoice in the good news of this, but Sinuous feels a bit conked out now, so decides to go and take a rest in the sun.
I'm tired. I want to coil up somewhere and...
You're a lazy worm, Sinuous.
You, Maram, 10:30 tonight. Bring a friend.
Though if bitter experience has taught us anything, it's that you don't go basking in the sun after pissing off the enemy, especially if you're a snake. And so we come to what is probably the most infamous and darkest moment in Series 3, and the scene that brings the only death of a main or supporting character in the whole series with the exception of the Great White Stag. And it has so much weight to it, I'm just going to let it play on here.
If we does this in, they'll lose heart, even that proud fox. Kill this un, and we's as good as won our little war. Eh, lads, eh?
Farewell, sweet Sinuous, and may flights of serpents sing thee to thy rest. Sorry, it was out of commission for so long it wasn't working. That and it was a bit pissed off at me considering the last time I talked to it. I'm so sorry about that, by the way. Every series I have to say that, but I always mean it.
You have your mother's eyes.
I have to say, this is one of the darkest moments in the series. In fact, the whole episode is one of the darkest of the series in general, despite the constant switching around the subplots. And the reaction of Ada makes it all the more tragic.
Oh, Ada, I'm so sorry. We heard the squeaking, but we didn't get here in time.
Sinuous!
Oh, my friend. My slithery friend.
Truly a sad day. Oh well, moving on. So we move on to the next episode where we see the immediate aftermath of that attack.
Are you alright? How many rats have you killed today?
Well, none, actually.
None? None? I've killed 100! More! Many more! I empty their nests. They killed my Sinuous! And I'll kill all of them. Everyone.
Speaking of which, we see the warden putting down poison for the rats, but despite the promise this idea has, believe it or not, it doesn't work. Probably because he just dumps it in one big pile in front of the nest, because yeah, they're stupid enough not to figure that one out. What's next? A picture of a beautiful rat that's disguising a bomb? Besides which, you should poison the food or water supply of the rats if you really want to get rid of them. Or use toxic, that's more powerful every turn, and it's got high priority and stab effects if you have Prankster. Despite how clever Bully is, all the poison's gone because the big town rat who killed Sinuous eats all of it because he thinks he's immune.
Any creature what eats that poison dies dead, dies twitching. Foxes, crows, anything what walks, crawls or flies, dies. They all dies in the most horrible pain, they do.
The warden's wasting his time. Doesn't he know some of us have got immunity?
Only if you're ground and steel type, matey.
You! What do you know? You was nothing before I found you, living in a sewer! I brought you here to this lovely park of mine.
And of course he promptly drops down dead. First Gary's Raticate, now this. And I think I'll leave it with the Pokemon jokes for there. I don't want to overdo it.
Funny. Must have had a weak heart.
So now that Fox has heard that it hasn't worked, it means that they're back to the drawing board, and while the Warden is getting involved was the first good idea they've had so far, I'm sure Fox will come up with something else.
I'm sorry, Vixen, but I've tried my best. They'll overrun us. Any day now.
Well, you heard him, folks. Just say goodnight and take those cyanide pills. Hail Hydra! To be fair, this is supposed to be showing Fox that he's getting old and isn't the Fox that he used to be, and that's understandable, but there are better ways of doing it than making him seem useless and pathetic. I mean, this is the Fox who outsmarted vicious hunting dogs, outran fox hunting toffs, fought another fox near to death, outsmarted hunters twice, and even found his way back to his friends without being able to use Google Maps or Garmin, well, partly because those things hadn't been invented yet, and partly because, well, he's a fox. I know that he's old, but he shouldn't just be giving up, though this probably explains why Vixen is the narrator this series. Fox is too tired to even do that at this point. Hell, Toad is older than you, and even he's spending his time more usefully, teaching Spike how to be a Farthing Wooder. Speaking of which, how's that going?
Lovely day, eh, Spike, me boy?
Oh dear, I haven't seen a fight this one-sided since Batman v Superman. So the rats circle around Toad, but after Toad made him feel so welcome and treated him like a true friend, he doesn't really know what to do. But he can't face Bully either, he just gets so flustered. Though to be fair, while the rats try to eat Toad, yes, seriously, he's the only one to point out the thing that I've been saying for the last 3 years.
It tastes horrible, old great one. Ugh, toads are poisonous.
Yes, they are. Thank you, Spike. However, Dash helps out by getting a bunch of young does and bucks of the white deer to stampede over the rats and clear them out. Cue the music. I still have no idea what that song is, but it looks good over the image of charging deer now, doesn't it? Toad gets helped out by his frog mates, but Spike still feels like he betrayed him, and so he decides to make a stand for himself and the Farthingwood Oath.
Oh, Spike, my favourite boy. Oh, at least you're all right.
Wow, he beat him with the power of crappy animation.
What happened? I'm all confuserated.
So Spike still feels depressed about letting Toad down, but on his way to the pond...
Toad! You're alive! You're all right!
Hello, mateys. I do smart, oh, and I'm covered in bumps.
You're a toad. You're always covered in bumps.
I'm sorry I didn't help you. It's Bully. I was so scared of him. You do forgive me, don't you?
Well, I don't know.
You're my best friend ever. I'm not frightened anymore. If it happens again, just you wait. I'll fight like a terrier, I promise.
Yeah, all right. You were scared, so was I. I forgive you, matey.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's like the buddy movie that we've all wanted to see, about a traitorous rat and a silly old toad. Oh wait, we've already got that movie, it's called Rush Hour 3. There is a final bit of comic relief wrap-up with Trey, but we'll skip that and head into the next episode since we're running out of time. We now move into episode 11, where a major event from the book In the Path of the Storm takes place. Trey's presence at this point was the biggest part of that novel so far, but by the end not only will he have had his comeuppance, but all the events from that novel included in the show will be over. Not that it's really been that noticeable anyway, most of the plot elements of this series have either been taken from Battle for the Park, or have been stuff that the writers have made up on their own. Or, terrifyingly enough, used as testing ground for a spin-off series. Trust me, I'll get into that next episode. So a hurricane hits White Deer Park after Mossy tries to warn everyone but no one believes in, because apparently moles are the world's best natural weather forecasters. To be fair, he probably does a better job than Jeremy Paxman.
And tomorrow's weather?
More of the same. Don't know why they make such a fuss about it.
Most of this episode is just cutting back and forth between the various subplots and seeing how they deal with the hurricane, and it's not bad at all. I do recommend you check out this episode. Alongside episode 9, it's one of the better episodes of series 3, but what we need to focus on is how it affects the main story, and in that regard, only about 3 important things happen that actually make a lasting impact. Number 1, the squirrels are completely eviscerated in the hurricane.
Not many casualties. Very good all in all. Unless you're a squirrel.
They took shelter in the trees, poor things.
I reckon we lost 10 or 12.
No, I don't care either. What did they do in this series? Number 2, Shadow gets the worst of it, and much like Badger from the last series, is taken back to the Warden's cottage to heal up. Though sadly, we don't get to see Fellaray in this episode.
Then it's time I was getting back to my nice, warm fire.
What a complete and utter waste. And number 3, Trey nearly gets completely crushed under a large bit of tree that was broken down in the storm, but he still can't get out from under it, so the other stags just leave him there to die, and that leaves a power vacuum amongst the other stags.
I'll be the leader.
No, you won't. I will.
Which brings us to the most awesome character introduced in Series 3, Laird, who is the grandson of the original Great White Stag.
Shut up, you two. We can decide later who'll be leader. Leave the poor fellow in peace. Come on, off you go. And you two foxes. Scoot!
This guy is like a mix between Sean Connery and Liam Neeson, and all awesome. Sadly, we don't get to see much of him because he's only introduced in the last few episodes, but his presence is enjoyed nonetheless amongst all these annoying characters that they introduced. And quite thankfully, he doesn't make jokes like this.
And your mother currently sits on my face, Trebek.
However, he and Fox then get the tree off of Trey, who then gets taken away to be helped healed up. Though rather only Laird does because he's a badass and has a very specific set of skills. Although Ranger does kind of help out as well. Has Liam Neeson ever been on Jonathan Ross?
This is Liam's interpretation of boyfriend. Let's hear this.
Baby, take a chance, or you'll never, ever know.
Oh yeah, that's a big yes on that then. Liam Neeson's cool points just went down a couple of notches. But Laird knows no such weakness.
I'll soon get them in line when I'm leader of the herd. You'll never be.
And finally today we come to episode 12, which I'm also going to be brief about because I don't want this video to go on forever. Basically the most significant thing that happens is, oh no, oh no, oh no, 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 no!
That's it, Cleo. In you go. Come on, Measley.
Wait.
Abandon ship! They're back! Where to put those bloody cyanide pills? The one time I need them and I can't find them. Yes, the weasels have come back, and believe me, we'll be seeing and hearing plenty more of them in the next episode, so get your anti-weasel devices ready. And of course, this scares the shit out of the rats, but this does cheer up Fox and Vixen, mostly because they haven't spent a year travelling with the little furry turds. Though the reunion of the weasel with the Farthing gang is quite sweet.
We didn't come all the way back here just to fight your battles for you.
Or not, I guess. Though they do eventually come around and agree to help fight off the rats, but they say that they'll have to teach Cleo and Fido, that's the name of their kids by the way, to be rat killers. Great! I'm sure we've got another 3 years on hand to help teach those delinquents to do anything useful for a change.
Bunny Rabbit, playing with me? No! Bunny playing with me!
We'll get into that part of the episode when we look at the weasel subplot next week, so we'll just move on to the other bits of the story.
Hello, Whistler. I hope you've been keeping well.
Oh joy, it's Madam Run-Her-Mouth. Actually, this is the first time we've seen Speedy since she said goodbye to Owl in the first episode, and then she just disappeared for some reason. Where did she go? Somewhere, but we don't actually get to see it. Actually, in consideration, that's probably actually for the best, because they probably would have tried to figure out a way to make another subplot about this as well. Though also in consideration, I think they actually did this because no one actually liked Speedy. Oh, and it seems this stream is rife with exposition this morning, since Whistler tells Speedy that the stream's poison has been cleared up by the Warden.
I feel much safer here. Fishing any good?
The stream was poisoned, you know.
No!
Drums and drums of poison, just around the bend there, leaking into the water. But the Warden cleared it all up.
When? How? Why was it poisoned in the first place? Never explained. Are you liking how all the really big bits of development are happening off-screen this series? Though thankfully we do get to see Laird fighting off the other stags to become leader of the herd. Aslan would be proud, young stag.
Hard luck, Butch.
You tried your best.
Go away, pesky foxes. It's a pity Trey didn't stamp you all flat. Go away.
Apparently, apart from the original great white stag, all the white deer in the park are arseholes. Why would anyone want to preserve any of these self-righteous goits? But eventually, Laird faces off against every single one of the stags. Cue more fight music.
Who's the strongest?
You are.
Who's the winner?
You are.
Who's my bitch? I am! So of course Laird wins, and it's nice to actually get a good fight for once. This time last year we had Fox and Scarface, and while this isn't as great as that, or necessary for the plot, it was fun to watch at the very least. And so the episode ends with Fox congratulating Laird, and Laird agreeing to be friends with the foxes as the Farthing Wood animals.
Thank you, foxes. And thank you for cheering me. We shall be friends, you and I, just as you and my grandfather, the great white stag, were friends. There's only one creature left who hasn't acknowledged me as leader. Trey.
Trey's gone.
Gone?
The warden's men took him away in a big wagon.
He didn't see it. I did. They took Trey away to mend his bad leg. He didn't roar or anything. He just went.
Again, great to not have to see that and spend more time with the weasels acting like idiots. And so with one of their bigger problems in the park gone, the animals band together with the deer for one final assault on the rats and to clear them from the park once and for all. And the rats prepare to do the same. You know, that previous fight and the one that's about to come in the next episode probably would have been really great for that wrestle guy to watch. I wonder whatever happened to him.
Bully loves you all! Now at last, this here very pleasant park will be ours and ours alone. Tomorrow we will attack and kill all the other animals. We will rip them up. We will kill them. One rat by itself is a small thing, but together we are one single animal, an huge animal, a monster that cannot be defeated. No power on earth can stop us. Oh, am I?
Bully, bully, bully. Hail bully, hail bully, hail bully. And that's the main story of Series 3, minus the last episode, but we'll get into that at the end. You've probably guessed it that it's not my most preferred story of Farthing Wood, and the different animation, lack of focus on the main characters, the occasionally annoying comic relief, hectic and unfocused narrative, and rather idiotic character decisions and writing do definitely make it a sour experience. But there are still some things to be enjoyed. While it's not as great as Scarface was, Bully is actually a rather entertaining villain, Plucky, Dash and Spike are great new inclusions to the family, and the deer subplot with Laird did get exciting near the end. But it's extremely muddled overall, and it doesn't really have the sense of adventure that the first series have, or the dark and dire feelings that the second series did. Overall, it is still Farthing Wood at its core, just make sure you've got the fast forward button on standby. Though, unfortunately, mine's broken. Which is going to make things even more wretched for when I have to get into next week. It will be mercifully shorter than the last two episodes, but that's not going to make it any less painful. So make sure you've got a strong stomach and have your earplugs at the ready, because next week I'm getting into the weasel subplot. But now I've had enough of this, I'm going on the other side to have a bath. Bye! Mental note for any future reviewers out there, if you're ever going to go on camera, make sure you take antihistamine at least an hour before you start filming. I didn't do that today and I'm suffering for it. FYI, what I just took was just a paracetamol. Do not take cyanide pills at home. I forgot about that. Hang on, I feel like there's another punchline in there. You didn't see this, but when I was rehearsing that, I had my arms up and I fell to the side. You see that there's the bed head post here. Well, there's the foot post over there. My arms were so long that the knuckle of my right hand brushed against it as I fell over. You probably can't tell because my middle finger knuckle is always looking red and raw. Just here's the other one for comparison, but it really, really hurts. Episode 3, in the bag.